Right. Well,
Yes.
subject to not having Lord Hesford here. Any one of you want to throw a quick swear word at the world?
Bum.
That'll do.
He
Anyway,
would
folks,
he would do the same. So there you go.
yeah, welcome in, folks. So thank you for popping by. It's our weekly little get together, the Beyond Book Show here on Thornbury Radio Podcasts, and we've got Casey going to share a little sunshine with us. We've got Macca.
Hello.
We've got
And the
Macca.
Sunshine Band.
Yeah, we've
Hello,
got
everybody.
Paul
Hello,
down
Karen.
Paul
Hello,
down
Brian.
in the Worcestershire.
Herefordshire.
Herefordshire. Yeah,
Herefordshire.
next
Yes.
county,
Next county down.
same sort of general gist. It's
Hereford
just
cows.
damp and beef. Yeah,
Yes, cider and beef. The land of
yeah,
beef and cider.
yeah. And we've got our lovely poet Zoe and our sort of special guest, although he's special every week, but he's special tonight because we're going to let him talk for a bit longer than anybody else if he feels like it. We've got the one and only BG. And he's now
Hey,
going to sing New York mining disaster for us.
you didn't know that. You didn't know that.
I didn't know any. I don't know what I'm doing. So,
Do you not remember that one from your early days?
which one, Tony?
New York City mining disaster from when you were first popular in the 60s. You can't remember it, can you? I'll tell you what then. Okay.
Who sang that? Was that the Bee Gees?
It was the Bee Gees.
Oh, well, there you go. That's
yeah,
it. Yeah,
it was the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you see.
You're
I
gonna-
do remember.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna
Well, what we'll do is see if we can. Oh no, we'll talk for a minute and then we'll find it. We'll talk for a minute and then I'll find it. I should have found it before we were talking. Brian,
Hello.
say hello to people.
Hello, people.
Yeah, you seem to be a bit.
Hello, Tony.
Have you been dozing in the afternoon sun again?
Well, I have, yeah. And my little friendly squirrel.
Oh yeah, you've got a little squirrel.
Whoa.
Listen,
Well, there's a little fam.
Yeah, go on, mate.
I remember last year there was a squirrel that used to come in, a big squirrel.
Yeah.
And then it was last year. I went down the bottom of the garden and I saw these two little lumps on the floor by a chimney pot that I've got in the garden with plants on top. I thought, what the heck are those little lumps there?
Yeah.
And as I got closer, they were like little tiny round things.
Oh.
And then it got closer again, and there were baby squirrels.
Oh.
Little tiny, weeny squirrels.
Oh.
And so I set a little cage up and I put food out and everything else.
Yeah.
Anyway, cutting the story short, they've grown up now. And they come in every day.
Yeah.
And they're so tame now.
You are a bit of a Dr. Doolittle. You have
so.
your fairy things and your mice and your birds eating out your hand, don't you, basically?
I do. And it's lovely because the squirrel sits on the wall today and I just, in squirrel language, I call it.
Go on then.
Well, I don't know. I can't do it. I go like that. And I go. Yeah. And it seems to know, and it stands there and it stands up with its little feet in front of it, you know. And then I'll throw some peanuts on the floor and it looks sideways at me. Then I'll go in and I'll stand by my kitchen door and I'll watch it gradually drop down into the garden.
And do you know what happens next, folks? I've seen the front of Brian's house and there's a big sign at the front that says, freshly made squirrel pie, £10.
Hey.
I've actually got a recipe for
I've had enough of that.
You're a vegetarian anyway.
I've actually got a recipe for braised
I don't eat meat.
No, we know.
Anyway, but it's lovely. But it picks each peanut up and it eats as much as it wants, and then it gets the rest of them and it runs around the garden. Digging holes up and hiding the other peanuts.
They hide. They love squirreling things away. They do.
So my lawn's all.
It's got its nest in the roof of the old people's home at the side of you, isn't it? Or the building.
Well, it's a church. It's a little church.
Yeah. I sat with you in the garden and we watched it, and I said, "It's going in under the eaves up there." And sure enough, it was scurrying inside to the roof space of the house opposite the church opposite.
But it is lovely.
Okay, so you can't remember this far back because I mean it was about something in your very formative days. back in 1941 when you were
41,
probably
yeah.
about 1. So
Yeah.
no wonder you don't remember. But we'll play this to remind you that you are the one and only BG. So this is the New York mining disaster,
Thank you, Tony.
1941, for the one and only BG. By the rest of them, the BGs,
The imposters.
Yeah.
When it works.
When it works.
Is it not working?
No, we haven't got your
That
turn.
is probably because, as usual,
You're going to put the string in, have you?
no, it's the usual thing that I'd set it up a minute ago, and I've obviously unset it up. It's just, yeah, share sound is what you were asking me to do, wasn't it? Share sound.
That would be nice.
It will be. Let's have a little bit of New York mining disaster, 1941. By the other part of the Bee Gees. We've got the one and only BG.
We have.
This were the ones who sort of went on top of the pops for him. So there we have it, Brian, from your dim distance.
That was great. I enjoyed that.
It's a good song, isn't it?
Yeah. Who's the guy on drums there? Who's the guy on drums?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't recognise him.
And it's interesting that they tried to impersonate John Lennon.
Yeah, that's right. It does sound.
I don't know why that should be. It does sound a bit like John. When I first heard it, well, you're going back a long way, but when I first heard it, I thought it was the Beatles.
Yeah.
And didn't realise until, researched a little bit.
Someone called Jeff Bridgeford, Brian.
Was I?
Yeah. He was just being a mate. He was just being a mate of them when they'll have roped in, yeah. Aye. So, Uncle Brian, we're just here really to cheer you up a bit, really.
I need cheering up, Tony.
And exactly. He does. He needs cheering up.
I do.
Unfortunately, he's only getting to go out once a week, which is not enough for him. The cost of beer has gone up to £2.20 a pint.
Oh, and the rest.
He only has £2 in his pocket on a Friday night.
And I have to borrow that off you.
Indeed.
You don't been to the pubs I've been to because it's not £2.20 there, I can tell you.
No, he's found somewhere. They have like a loyalty scheme, this pub, which sounds quite clever, really.
Oh, I want the address of that one.
Yeah, it's a new bar that you're patroning.
Well, there's several of the bars, if you're regular and it just.
What's this? The Gibson loyalty scheme.
It is, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
and it's nice because the girls behind the bar, get to know you and stuff, and then you just sometimes they don't even have to show the loyalty card. You just go, it's all right.
Yeah, it's all right, isn't it? All right. Yeah. So no, but you're friends with some of the artists that perform in some of the bars, aren't you? Basically.
I am. Yeah. We're fantastic. I mean, first one that comes to mind is Soul Jam.
Yeah.
They're just absolutely top of the tree.
They work very hard because they do like 2 or 3 shows a day, don't they?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they do. I mean, if they're on overnight at 5 o'clock or something, then it means that they're going to go on usually to another gig later on.
Yeah.
And sometimes they've come from a wedding reception.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they get the energy.
It's good that people like that are starting to get regular work again, because there was a worry at one time back, in that Christmas time, whenever music and gigs and things started happening again, that people weren't going to be going, and people wouldn't be getting their little bit of money to get for putting the effort in and performing. So at some point tonight, Brian, are you going to? Was I right in hearing that you've written or are writing a new story, or reworking a story that's not been published?
Yeah, I keep doing that, don't I? I keep coming across, and there's one story I started like 40 years ago.
Really? Go on.
Really? Yeah, and it's got different beginnings. I keep going to read something now for you.
Yeah.
And then I come across another beginning that I've done for it. And so I've got to find a way of getting someone to come here and help me to gel them all together.
Well,
Tony.
I quite like that idea of different beginnings, though, because if you can work that in the right way, it's quite a nice, clever plot device, that really.
I know somebody else that does that.
Do you, Zoe? Go on.
Yeah,
What
go on.
go on, Zoe. Do you write like that as well then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But if you do that, you got together in a book ages ago of you choose what happens next.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
You could almost do that when you begin.
Yeah.
You could like choose your own beginning, your middle, because if you've got a number of them, that was actually make it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, no, I think there's it's quite a clever. I like it. I think you've got something there, Brian. That's not just the simplistic. Here's how it starts. This is what happens. Here's how it ends. I like the idea of multi-strand.
It's not supposed to have been like that, you see, because when originally I wrote it, yeah, I'll see if we can come across a little passage of. It's very childlike because it was meant to be that way.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of
beginning.
your writing is aimed at a younger audience. You're not deep down a serious metaphysicist, are you?
No. Well, this was called the Buttercup Boys. Okay?
Oh yes, you
or
mentioned this
called
to me. You have
the
mentioned this
Buttercup
to
Boys,
me. Yeah.
and how they became about. I'd have to read a bit more, but I'm just gonna. I used to live with a friend down south, who's now lives in Spain, and his partner Jenny, she helped me to do the typing and stuff like that. And when I used to stay there, I was going through a time in my life, as I think we all have, where it becomes like a narrow thing in your head, like a horse had blinkers on.
Yeah.
You keep it going, and if you can think it that way. And so I had things in my mind, things in my head, and my friends had gone to work. I used to stay there. They asked me to stay there because we all got on so well. And I used to just wander around this little village in called Linkfield down south.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful little village. So I'd walk around there, and I remember it started raining. And when everything's gloom and doom in your head.
Mm.
And then I had my hood up, and it was like a woolly cardigan, and I was soaked. And I was just shuffling around this village, and I just kept on seeing these things in the village, which like a big old tree, with a big split down the middle. And I imagine all little people and creatures. And then I was looking at the old black and white timbered houses and the old red roofed houses. And as I was walking, I was shuffling, and I wasn't looking up. I was just looking at the ground and following my own feet. And the rain was sheets coming down on each side of me. And I remember standing at this little brick path, a little red brick path, and I just followed it. I didn't even look up. And it was winding left and right. And in the end, I just started, where am I? And I looked around, and I was in a churchyard. That's where I was. And just to the side of the little path were bushes. And with the rain coming down, I started seeing these little people, little creatures coming out of the bushes. In my mind's eye, I could see them. They were there. And he started dancing around my feet. And I thought, this is just amazing for me. So I stayed there for about another 5-10 minutes, and I just was mesmerizing what I could see. And I went back to where I stayed, dried off, went in the bedroom, got my drawing pads and my paints and everything else. And I started drawing the little characters that I'd just seen. And they ended up in this book. And it became like the Buttercup Boys, plus all these little characters that could pop up in it all the time. Now it starts off with a long time ago, about the turn of the 19th century, in a little village near Linkfield, which was set at the far corner of Surrey, strange things were happening. The village itself was quite tiny as we read it spoke. who were very friendly, and they liked nothing better than to have a nice little chat and pass the time of day as they did their daily shopping. The village had its own main street, library, church, and close by, a little pond known as the Gun Pond. Alongside the Gun Pond was the tiniest jail in the world, and that was called the Cage. It had a cross on the top, and next to it was a big oak tree. Now, the oak tree is where my story begins. Inside the tree lived many of the little village folk, men, women, and children, and some lived deep down inside the roots in pretty little red roofed houses, and the others lived high up inside the tree, that they needed long ladders to get to their homes. There were 3 brothers called, and they were named Bonaparte, who was the eldest, Alexander, and Sebastian, the younger, by 8 hours. They had been asked by the villagers to keep the peace, and to do this, they rode around on the backs of their cats to make sure there was no trouble, and there very seldom was. There was, except when the Flipnabs, who were always very naughty and always got into mischief. Now, who were the Flipnabs, you may ask? Well, they lived at the same tree, but outside and mainly on the top of the branches. Now, these strange little creatures, they were bright green in colour, with big orange eyes and very thin, bendy bodies like elastic. They had suckers for feet, which helped them to run very fast up and down the tree, and they would even hang upside down from the branches. They were not really bad, they were more of a nuisance. Their favourite trick was when somebody passed under the tree, and they would run down fast and tickle them. Or if it was a baby, they would run down and he would pinch its dummy or its bottle, or take the bonnet off its head and wear it, and then run back up the tree, sticking out their tongues. Now, one sunny afternoon, they were very bored with nothing to do, and when they saw an old man pass underneath the tree carrying lollipops for his children, down the tree they went, and they, quick as a flash, they plucked all the lollipops out of the old man's hands and darted back up the tree. The old man got such a fright, he was shaking. But when he looked up at the tree, he saw the Flipnabs just poking their tongues out at him. And then very cheekily, one of them started to lick the lollipops.
Yeah.
And I won't read any more than that.
Oh, that's lovely.
It shows you how childlike it is.
Yes.
It was very, very childlike. And then the story unfolds, it goes into like part 2, which is another novelette, if you like.
So how much of it have you actually written then, Brian?
I've written quite a bit. It just needs put together. Now, this is the second part, and it says, because in the story they meet these other creatures which are bad, but very childlike as well. But as the story goes on, it becomes a bit more adult. I'll read this other little second part. And it says, things had happened. The things that happened there that they had been told about. Now, Bonaparte doubled up on Sebastian's cat. They'd gone through a forest and they come to a clearing in the forest. So I'll break it right down to that if I can. Now, once they'd all agreed, they proceeded towards the clearing, and Bonaparte dismounted from his cat. And he led his limping cat out in front. As they approached the clearing, it seemed very, very strange, as though it was moving. The area was much darker and more airier than anywhere else. Now, feeling very ill at ease, the Buttercup boys kept glancing at each other to observe their expressions. Even the cats had sensed something was not quite right. Their fur was standing up on the backs of their necks. The ground seemed to be shimmering, as it does on a very hot day. But it was now really dark, and in a forest, it did not seem natural. At the end of the clearing, they all stopped and they gazed into the darkness to see if there's anything they could pick out, but they could see nothing. So they all took a deep breath and proceeded to cross the clearing once more. Taking no more than 5 careful steps into the clearing, they noticed that the movement had become more fierce. Cautiously, they continued, and Bonaparte, still leading his cat, who was still limping, and stepping further into the clearing, the boys were really getting worried. And they were all staring down at the ground and watching the ground and feeling very tense. Then, to their horror, they saw the ground was alive with the strangest creatures. They were very, very small maggot shapes, they were. And they were writhing like little snakes and slithering over each other and leaving red glowing slime behind them. Suddenly, without warning, some of these cold black-eyed creatures joined forces and forming a long procession which got bigger and bigger on the ground. It's so much bigger and fatter that it became a giant mass, growing up to an enormous height, much taller by far than any of the Buttercup boys or their cats. It just came up out of the ground. Where are we? They were all very scared and never ever seen anything like this before. The great mass was now towering above them, and as they looked up to it, these great huge eyes started to form, along with a big long nose. And all the time it grew, it was changing colour from black to green and back again. Suddenly the whole ground erupted and spewing up dozens of these tiny, weird creatures. And then the first, and by far the biggest one, spoke in a very aggressive voice, so full of menace that the boys chilled to the very bone. And it said, "I am Amebes. Who are you? And why have you invaded our land?" And as it spoke, it was silently swelling as though to bursting point and moving left and right and swaying. It deflated and silently swelled once more, repeating the progress. So it goes on to there. So.
Fabulous. Yay.
Really enjoying it.
Nice. Yeah.
But then the next part, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So, and they're grown up. So you'll have to help me with it, Tony.
It's not slightly dissimilar from like the Magic Faraway Tree sort of concept that, you know, anything strange and unusual is allowed and possible. I mean, the little men with suckers on their feet.
That's the Amebes. That's what the Amebes look like.
Oh, look at that. Hold on. Let's put you on big screen, Brian. Hold on.
Mm.
Of course, because you're an illustrator before much else, aren't you? By origin. That's pretty cool, that, Brian. Yeah. Yay. Yeah.
That's what they look like. Okay.
Very nice.
If you see the head, look, they're all little tiny wriggly things, aren't they?
Yeah.
But it all formed into a shape of one big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bit too scary for us little people, that.
Oh well.
No, you need a bit of a scare.
There's the little houses.
Oh, hold on. Let me.
There's some of the little houses that they live in.
Oh, yeah. That's your Williamson's tunnels process developed in a different direction.
No, it's well before that, Tony.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, my gosh, yeah. And there's oh, hang on. When the Buttercup boys are born, you know, when they're found, sort of thing. That's what they're like.
Oh, they look a bit Midwich Cuckoo there, don't they?
Right. So.
Oh. Yeah. Well, I mean, all ideas are good ideas until they reach the point when you've got to look at them and work out, is it a complete idea or still something that you need to add to? But
well, yeah, of course.
Bar a few words here and there, it sounded pretty fully formed, really. You know, there was a tiny bit of repetition in the first reading, I think.
Yeah, of course there was.
You sort of repeated roughly what you'd said again.
45 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
If it's with kids, you need that bit of repetition anyway. So
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do like repetition. You're quite right, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Now, do you know when I was doing the Buttercup Boys, right? Very quickly, I was researching, I was photographing different areas with a friend of mine who was Butlins' top photographer, because I worked in Butlins as a cook 3 times, and I got to know the photographer. And then we kept in touch when I went to live with my friends down south, and he rang me up, and I said, "Oh, how are we doing?" And he goes, "So I'm home now." And I said, "Oh, whereabouts are you?" He said, so I told him, and he went, "You're joking?" He said, "I'm only up the road." He was only like 20 minutes away from me. So I said, "Well, you have to come round for dinner one day. Bring your camera, because there's a few little things I'd like you to photograph, you know, for the book reference." So we did. He came with a big load of all his camera gear on him, and we met up. Went into the village, bought our dinner, and then we was walking back with the shopping, and I showed him where I wanted photographing, an old house, and an old gate, you know, leading into the woods and all that stuff, a wrought iron gate, which is in the story. And as we walk along the pavement, this police car slowly was going on the opposite side of the road to us. And it slowed down, and he goes, "Hello, lads. Where are you off to?" So I went, "Oh, I'm going home for my dinner," you know. So he goes, "Oh, really?" And he was still driving slow. And then he stopped after a few minutes, and he got out the car, and he goes, cross over the road to us, him and the constable. And he said, "What have you got in your bag?" I said, "Me dinner." So he goes, "Can I have a look?" And I said, "If you like." Now, I didn't know it, but I'd been to the butcher's, because my mate was eating meat and stuff, and I bought some sausages, but they were in a string. You know when they have a string? So I thought, "Oh, I'm going to have a bit of fun here."
Oh.
So I put my hand in the bag, and instead of lifting all the sausages out, I just kept hold of the first one. And I just pulled it up, and I said, "Well, first of all, we're having sausages." And I lifted them up, and it was about 8 sausages, 10 sausages on a big string. So he goes, "Oh," he said, "what else have you got?" "Some eggs and whatever." Then he turned to me mate, and he said, "And what have you got on? What have you got on your shoulder, on your back there?" And I said, "Oh, he's the photographer from Butlin Holiday." He said, "Oh, he said, can I have a look?" And showed him the camera. He said, "Well, what are you doing around there?" He said, "Are you casing the joints?" And I went, "What the hell does that mean? What's that word mean?" And he went, "You know, photographing." I said, "Well, I've just photographed a little gate up the road there and stuff like that." I said, I'm a writer and illustrator." "Oh," he said, "would you like to come down to the police station for a bit?" You know, and "Oh, we're going for a ride," I said. And I was just winding him up. We were there till about 10:30 at night, right? And I'd said to him, "You know what I'm really looking forward to?" I said. He said, "What's that?" I said, "Is when you come over to me on your hands and knees and say, 'Brian, I'm awful sorry, I made a big mistake.'" I said, "Because that's what you're going to do," like that. And true to my word, he came about, I can't remember the time, maybe 9:30 or something like that. And he goes, "Right, lad," he said, "would you like some supper? Some fish and chips?" And I said to him, "Oh, is this going to be our last supper, is it?" And my mate was terrified. He was a big guy, but he was white. He was terrified. I said, "Stop worrying. You've done nothing. I've done nothing." So cutting the story short, he came in with fish and chips, and we had our fish and chips. And then the sergeant came over when we'd eaten them, and he said, "Right, okay, lads, you can go." And I went, "We can go? Are you joking?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Do you think that's it?" Like that. He said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Do you remember before when that," because I haven't covered that story, early on, a lady had come in with what we thought was a dog. And it was an old lady, and she had this big long lead, and it was tight, it was straight. And she was asking them if she could keep it there, because there's no way she could keep it at home. And we were wondering what kind of dog this was. And after the 5-10 minutes, the policeman went out and said, all right, come on then, we'll keep it here. And when they pulled the lead, it wasn't a dog at all. It was a ball and chain.
Yeah.
It was a huge ball. She said she'd found it down by the river, and she dragged it all the way up to the police station. Right? So when the policeman said to me, all right, you can all go now, or you can both go now, I said, no, not yet. I said, I'd like a photograph with you. And he goes, I said, have you got anywhere with lights in so we can have a photograph? And he went, yeah. And he said, come here. And he took us to this big long room. And I just remembered his hand going up in this big clunk. And these lights come on, bright lights. And he said, is that bright enough for you? And I said, perfect. He said, what do you want? And I said, well, I want you to stand up the other end of there. He said, me? And I said, yeah. So we started to walk up the other end when the lights were on. I said, oh, hang on. Not yet. I said, I want you with the ball and chain on your leg. And the sergeant went, you're kidding. And I said, no. What you put me through today, the least you could do. Right? So we got the other guys, the policemen, to pull the ball and chain into this room where the photograph or whoever. And he put it on his leg. He was holding it. Right? And there's the photograph. Well, this is the copy of the photograph.
Hold on, mate. Hold on.
Wait a minute. Can you see it?
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
That was the sergeant of the police station just outside Lingfield.
God.
And then he said, well, now you've got to get it on your leg. And I said, okay. So I've got the 2 photographs. I've kept them.
Yeah, well, you would.
And he said, when you get the Buttercup Boys published, he said, every policeman in this police station will buy a copy.
Yeah, well, you've left it a bit longer than you should have done, haven't you?
I know I have. I know, because I had nobody to help me, Tony. I've only just met you, and you still haven't done it with me.
I know. No, well, we will talk about that, mate. We will. Anyway, listen. How about
one more thing?
Yeah. No.
The little gate that I was photographing. Might be able to figure it out. I don't know.
It's a bit shiny.
It is
shiny.
Hang on. Let's take that out of there then. That was the little gate.
Oh, yeah. It came into focus then, yeah.
You see it now?
Yeah.
And there's some little creatures on the side.
Oh, yeah.
They're all part of it. Anyway.
You got names for all these little creatures?
Yeah. Oh, they've all got names, Tony. Of course. Yes. I love them all. So...
You locked around with the other Brian too long, I think.
Brian?
Brian Jacques.
Brian Jacques, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I did his stuff, didn't I?
Yeah. He was a lovely chap, though.
I got on well with Brian. Used to sit with him in Radio Merseyside.
Yeah.
On a Sunday with Francesca.
Yeah. No, he was a true gent. He really was.
Yeah, I liked him. We got on well. Him and his wife. Fabulous.
Yeah. No, I did a big event with him just not long before he died, sadly.
Really?
He went quite quickly, didn't he, in the end?
I know.
Yeah.
Very sad.
Nice man, though. Very nice man. Always very well dressed. Hold on. Go on. Ooh, that's like a scary Father Christmas.
Well, that's a big giant. He's like a huge giant. But he represents all, these evil people that take children. It's because I can't stand all that.
What's he called then?
Boris Johnson.
Yeah, but it's just.
I see Rees Mogg more as like a child.
Yeah, and there's the children that he saved. The Buttercup Boys saved all these little children.
Oh.
Oh,
Pied Piper territory, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's just the way my mind goes, when I'm thinking of things. So,
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do, Uncle Brian. We're going to give you a 2-minute little rest, or maybe a 3-minute little rest. Paul Bryce had a chat with me earlier, because in a few weeks' time, I think it's safe to say Paul's going to do a bit more talking than usual, and he's going to take us back to his northeast roots, aren't you, Paul? You're going to go back up to the Tyne, the fog on the Tyne, as they say.
Fog on the Tyne, as they do. And I thought what we might do. Have you got it, by the way?
I'm going to play your song in a minute.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm going to line this up for you now.
Please do.
And this is just a little taster of what we're going to. I'm going to go into in a couple of weeks' time. Tony's pretty kindly asked me to do a little bit of delving into my own personal history. And what I'm going to play for you tonight it's a song. It's about a big day out. Basically, it's a big day out that I come from the mining coal fields of. All my family come from County Durham, and it's the only county in England that we call county. By the way,
yes, yeah.
You
they
never
do it
hear
in Ireland, don't they? They have
county everything. It's County Clare, County Kerry. You never hear of County Lancashire, or County Yorkshire, or County. Only County Durham, and this is about a big day out. It's called, as I said, mainly for Brian's benefit, it's called what they call the Miners' Gala. And it happens every year. And what they used to do back in the day is they would march behind their own colliery band, and they would march from the villages of Durham right up to the city. And they'd go up and parade around the city. And it was quite a political thing in the day. They'd have strong Labour area, so they'd have all the left-wing types going up and making speeches off the castle gates and all that sort of stuff. They do something similar in Northumberland, but there's no politics there. It's called the Miners' Picnic. So they basically get together and have, politely put, it's a drink. There's other words you might use for it, but they have a get-together, shall we say. And this is done by Jez Lowe. I've featured Jez Lowe before, Jez Lowe and the Bad Pennies. And it's called Big Meeting Day. So, Tony,
we'll have a lovely listen to this while Brian gets his next, some of his poems together, or whatever he's going to.
This is great fun.
So this is Jez Lowe from 1994, Easington District Musicians, from an album of traditional East Durham folk songs that he either wrote or reinterpreted. We found 2 other versions that mention the Big Durham Day out. Didn't we actually?
We did. We found
Johnny Handel.
Johnny Handel did it, but
I think Louis
Killen did a version of it. But this is, I would think, this is to me the definitive.
Yeah, and it's a few minutes long, so set yourselves
5 minutes
down.
Or so.
5 minutes, folks, but it's well worth a listen all the way through. I think it's a lovely song, beautifully sung, great music, and it really does capture, the feel of what was going on then, and to some extent still goes on now. Paul, does it?
Oh, yes, it still goes on.
Paul asked me what we did round here, and at first I said, well, they just get a bit drunk and have a bit of a fight every so often. And I thought, no, we used to have like the May Queen. All the churches would pick a girl, dress her up like a fairy princess, basically, and have a big parade. The May Queen processions, Paul. Exactly that. That was about our nearest thing, wasn't it? And they were the thing, certainly in the 60s and 70s. When I were a little lass,
and before as well, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is just a riot.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of these things, it was like the Wigan Wakes and the trips to Blackpool en masse. It was the end. It was the end of May, like when we've got this Queen's Platinum Jubilee thing. People had the extra day off, didn't they? It was, and the weather had normally brightened, so I think a lot of places must have done things like this. They'll have had dancing around the maypole down in Kent and Dorset and places like that, won't they? Anyway,
well, not much dancing done here.
If you need to dive the loo, get yourself a cuppa or a beer, grab it quick, and then enjoy the song.
Here we go.
When big meeting day came round, we knew we'd have to beat the crowd. So we set off bright and early, feeling happy, pleased and proud. The day was ours to kill, the golden sun was shining down. We found a parking place in Sherburn Hill and strolled back into town. We walked along through Giles Gate, wondering where to venture first. And while we were a-pondering that, we thought we'd quench our thirst. The pubs were full and so we bought a crate from off a van. It was much too heavy to carry, so we drank it there and then. We let our hair down, with conscience good and clear. We let our hair down, it was only once a year. Now when we reached the market square, it was crowded bit to bust. We saw our Conry band go marching past, but only just. A woman next to me, she said, I'm really over the moon. That's me husband on the trumpet, he's the only one in tune. A man in uniform stood with a pint glass in his hand. He looked alone and so I said, I hope you can find your band. He seemed to take offence and put his glass upon the bar. He said, I'm a traffic warden and I hope I can find your car. He let his hair down, with conscience good and clear. He let his hair down, it was only once a year. A swirling crowd on Silver Street, I spied a friendly face, and though it seemed familiar, it was one I couldn't place. He made his way towards me as I tried so hard to think. It clicked when he said, how will now son buy your dad a drink? A bus slowed up from Merton, they were out to have a hoot, and to keep their driver sober they had locked him in the boot. Before too long they'd all forgotten where they'd left the bus. When the rest have gone, they said the one that's left will be for us. They let their hair down, with conscience good and clear. They let their hair down, it was only once a year. Now no one in the company knew the way to the race course, till someone spied across the crowd a jockey on a horse. It was just a mounted policeman, but we still kept on his trail. Me leaks said we winning some prizes, now if I'd only brought a pail. We slept all through the speeches, then we headed for the shows. But you shouldn't go on the waltzer if you brought no change of clothes. Then the crowds began to head for home, their banners rolled and furled, and the sun lit the cathedral at the centre of the world. They let their hair down, with conscience good and clear. They let their hair down, it was only once a year. Well, you should have been in Durham, such a sight you never saw. Crowds and beer and chips and cheer and banners by the score. Famous politicians perched upon the balcony, as the whole of County Durham went a-marching on the spree. And let their hair down, With conscience good and clear, they let their hair down. It was only once a year, so let your hair down. With conscience good and clear, well, let your hair down. 'Cause it's only once a year.
Lovely that.
Yes.
Lovely, wasn't it? Paul Manka, that's your sort of thing, I think.
It's great.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah.
Great stuff. And I tell you what, they used to make, I was talking to my mother about this earlier on, they used to make documentaries about it back in the
Oh yeah, they will have
60s.
done, yeah, the Bill Grundys.
And there was stories of couples in hedgerows and things. We mightn't go into what they were up to, but
Black and white 16mm at Wigan.
That's it.
Wigan
Yes.
Museum.
Yes. And it was great fun. And I mean, that sort of stuff, I mean, they still have it to this day. And I can recall going and up by the county hotel in Durham City, they would be lined 5 or 6 deep.
Yeah.
Outside the county hotel. And that's where they would parade around. And all the students at Durham University would line up to parade around, to applaud as the band. And I remember I only went once to do it. My great uncle, he was great in many ways, but he was actually my great uncle by relation. He went 60 years unbroken.
Wow.
Carried the flag for his village.
That's impressive, isn't it?
Place called Shotton.
Well, near where you live now, Paul, there is another song with the lyric, "A bustle in the hedgerow." So
Yes,
they were probably having a bustle.
They were having a bustle. But the story goes, I remember going to Durham Cathedral, and what they used to do, they get the mass bands, and they would have a service in Durham Cathedral. So you'd have the preachment by whichever politician. I actually saw Tony Benn speak.
Tony Wedgie.
Wedgie Ben. And what they didn't tell me was, as we came to leave the place, they didn't tell me I was stood about 6 feet away from the lead drummer. And he hit this drum. I nearly died. Gave it such the belt. And I thought, what was that? I literally nearly was blown out of my shoes because he gave it such the belt. To lead the mass bands out as we were leaving.
Yeah. Hey, Bono's in the room. We've got Bono from you. Who joined us?
Oh, what the real man?
Yeah, no, Brian's come back dressed as Bono.
Oh, tell me that story.
Yeah. When did you tour with U2, Gibbo?
Well, it started a long time ago, didn't it, Tony?
Yeah. He's got his Bono glasses on. He look like Bono.
Well, thank you, Tony.
Yeah. What do you think?
To him.
He's definitely got the Bono look all of a sudden, hasn't he?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Bono doesn't beat him.
When did you? Are these real glasses, Brian, or are they just for show?
Yeah, they just to expand my pupils, because we're going on the laptop and drawing all the time. So the glasses just expand my eyes and so give me a better vision.
Yeah. First time I've ever, I think it's bar sunglasses. First time I've ever seen you wearing them. Yeah.
Well, I know.
Yeah, but no, they look like Bono wears a pair of like sort of green tinted glasses.
He does.
And they've got, from my angle looking at you, they look like there's a bit of a tint to them. So I thought, you've left the Bee Gees because, it's not really a group with there only being one of you. And, you now sing with U2 when Bono doesn't fancy...
that's right.
Coming out.
So, versatile, Tony.
Yeah.
Got to stay versatile.
Indeed, you have. Yeah. Aye. Now I heard a rumor, Brian, Uncle Gibbo, that you were going to put some music on and sing for us at some point.
Ooh. Do you know what? I'll just take these off, Tony.
Oh.
Sorry. Put the others on.
He said to me earlier, he says, if I can find a Excellent. Yeah, his eyes have popped out. His
I know,
eyes
yeah.
have popped out.
There's the other ones. There's the other ones that you saw me with last night.
They're your proper
Well,
gigs.
they're off Francesca. She lent me them. So
yeah. You make me look like quite cultured and well to do. They do.
Well, that makes a change.
You not heard the slang term for glasses gigs before? No.
For his, no.
Yeah.
No, I hadn't.
No, I hadn't. I must say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's my glasses. It just reminded me of them when you said that. Then so I thought I'll go and get them.
An educational show.
What was that, Paul?
I said it's an educational show. I'm not sure I'd heard that before.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, so no, I've heard them called that by several people. So what are you going to sing for us in a minute, Brian? What are you going to?
You know what? Tony, I don't.
You said you were going to play a bit of music and sing along to it.
Well,
you don't have to do it right now because Macca and Zoe can, easily do a little. I'm sure Zoe will have a poem or two, and Macca might have something that he's, one-eyed.
Well, I've got poems, and I've got a poem sorted.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's let Zoe do a poem, and then we'll come.
That'd be lovely.
Come on, Zoe.
That'd be lovely.
Zoe's. We've not had many poems from Zoe for a little while, have we?
No pressure.
We haven't, no.
Is she there?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Hey. What
Right.
have you got?
You're hiding.
Oh no, it's just the angle. There we are, Zoe.
Ah.
Magical, mystical, the earth turned and grown, an earthly, the forgotten child, the moon of unanswered prayer, of snakes, of lizards and failing, with the spit of poison seeping through, turning green to brown, darkening the sun's rays.
Wow, that's a bit more biting than some of your others, isn't it? Yeah.
What's your pace?
Oh, it's hard though, isn't it, Paul? When you suddenly put on the spot when you suddenly put on the spot to read out loud, even if it's to people who already know, I think there's a natural fear that you've got to go quickly. I think it's hard.
I heard you read that to me the other day, and you did it. You just slow it a little bit.
Okay, well, it's not a long piece. So Zoe, let's do it again. Go again. No, let's do it nice and slow, and go nice and slow.
Magical, mystical, the earth turned and grown, an earthly, the forgotten child, the moan of the unanswered prayer, of snakes, of lizards and failing, of the spit of poison seeping through, turning green to brown, darkening the sun's rays.
Yeah, that was much better.
Much better.
Yeah, much better. Yeah.
Just drop it.
It does. I mean, Paul's right. Actually, I mean, you want every word or every line to carry itself, not perhaps to rush them all together so that they don't all form themselves. So no, there is.
But you're also right, because you're absolutely right in terms of, well, go on. Ping me a poem.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's been put on the spot to suddenly throw yourself in forward as a performer, isn't it?
Yeah, but no, beautifully done. I'm so lucky that I get to hear a lot of this stuff before.
Yeah. Well, we all need our sounding board and our muse and whatever, don't we? So Macca, old one-eyed Macca.
He's not.
You're in conversation with. You haven't book reprinted. And there's a possibility of that new one going off to a new publisher?
Well, The Spear of Destiny, which is based on the final voyage of the U-boat that's on display over in Birkenhead. U-534. It disappeared in mysterious circumstances 2 days before the end of the war. And I've written I've taken the facts that we know and sort of fictionalize something around it, and it's called The Spear of Destiny. And my daughter Siobhan is working on the front cover, which she's going to send to Debbie this evening, I think.
Yeah.
So that should be out before the end, maybe not before the end of the month, but certainly sometime in June.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, the printer who did the first edition went belly up just as I wanted to order a reprint.
Ah, I remember you saying.
Yeah. So I've now got a second edition. I've revamped this. I've tightened this up here and there, written a bit extra, and it's a new edition with a new front cover.
Superb.
And should be around very soon.
And you're allowed out fairly soon, aren't you?
Yep.
No, he's recovering from. He's had his eye up, so you've got to take it easy.
Have you?
He's had cataract removed from one eye. So
really?
Yeah, you can see really well.
Has it made a big difference there, Paul?
Well, you know, rats that live in certain places.
Yeah.
I reckon I could outdo them.
Really? So it's improved like
that much, yes.
Fantastic.
And the other one will be done. The other one will be done in a few weeks' time.
Fantastic. Oh, I'm pleased for you.
Yeah.
Someone else is signing in.
Yeah, Heather and Jason are signing in, which is great.
Was it painful, Paul, to get it done?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You're in for about 20 minutes. You might feel a little bit of pressure.
Yeah.
On the eyeball at one point.
Yeah.
But that is all you feel. There's no pain involved.
That's what I'd heard. Yeah.
No pain involved at all. And the whole thing was done in 20 minutes.
Amazing, really? Isn't it? Yeah. Absolutely amazing.
I have cataracts, but there's no point taking them off my eyes.
They probably wouldn't, would they, Paul, unfortunately?
No. Well...
Oh, okay. Heather's having a listen. Her daughter's doing GCSE revision. Okay. So Heather and Jason are just
arrived at the right time, Hetty, because I was just about to read something.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Alex, come and do some GCSE revision right
now. Well, this is... I assume if I'm reading from my screen, you can still see me.
We can see you, yeah.
Okay.
Alex, now.
Oh.
I will.
Oh, dear.
Right. This is part of story set in Calderstones Park, which I'm chugging towards the end of. And the main characters are a group of young children, about 10, 12 years old, thereabouts. And they have met, amongst other things, various residents of the park, including a centaur called Capricorn, Caps for short, the ancient oak tree.
It's very famous, the Allison Oak.
It's given the name Andare, which is the Gaelic word for oak tree.
Yes.
And a couple of other animals of various sorts. So, they've been up to the lake for a reason which will become obvious, and made their way from the lake towards the mansion house, shimmering a ghostly white in the rapidly shredding mists of dawn. Although the calendar insisted it was now autumn, it had been a long, exceptionally hot summer. The low rays of the rising sun were more than powerful enough to dispel the last drops of dewfall from the grass and shrubs around the park. Paddy seemed nervous, muttered constantly to himself, not quite under his breath. It was Melly who, by the shortest of heads, stopped and turned to scold him. Paddy, you're not the only one who's lived in Calderstones Park as long as Andare, or almost as long. You more than anyone else must know she's not mean or nasty. You've got nothing to fear from her as long as you're honest and truly mean it. Yes, but 'tis such a long time we've both been here. The park's my home, the only place I've ever known. I'm sure Andare's memories of the park are warm and pleasant, Tom put in, with a wink to Millie. He hoped Paddy wouldn't notice. But look, we're nearly there now, just round this last corner. You'll see for yourself. As before, all the myriad small noises of park life disappeared totally as they entered the sacred grove. Adair stood in complete peace and silence. The only sound Tom could hear were the hammer blows of his horse racing so loud he thought his eardrums would burst. He even glanced sideways at Millie's ears, clearly visible in her short-cropped hairstyle. They appeared perfectly normal. Tom allowed himself to relax. There were still matters that had to be dealt with. A neat, silent ripple of leaves indicated Adair's awareness of their presence. Something which in any other scene or situation might have been described as not quite a sigh confirmed this. Two ancient wise eyes appeared just before the lowest branches. The eyes focused on Paddy, who hesitated before taking a reluctant half pace forwards, then dropping to his knees. He appeared to be responding to a voice he alone could hear. Tom blinked. A gentle chuckle of an old, young voice sounded in his ears. Apologies, friends. My most important business concerns the slithfrog you know as Paddy. But it's only right that you're also aware of what needs to be said. I seldom speak to more than one. Sit and rest. None can reach us here. Suddenly, Millie found herself comfortably sitting in the half-unfurled trumpet of the biggest tulip she'd ever seen. Something she was certain hadn't been there until Adair invited her to rest and relax. The scent was fresh, but not overpowering. Looking around, So and Anne were in similar flower couches. Dave and Ed were perched on comfortable-looking grass humps. Tom sat on a mushroom of some sort, which was vaguely throne-shaped. It was only a second earlier. The glade had been smooth, even, free of any other growths or plants. With your permission, I'll use the name the young ones know him by, Paddy. As I know, the ancient small folk don't like to hear the title Lithrog or any of its variations spoken aloud. It was clear. The question was posed to Paddy, though Tom heard every word. In response, Paddy pulled himself to the fullest height he could manage and nodded. I agree. My thanks, wise one. Adair was pleased and shook all her leaves in appreciation. A conversation including the eldest two beings in existence and an agreement about anything in less than 2 centuries is surely unheard of. But we must learn to think and act in the far shorter time frames our young friends have to live in, because there's very little of anyone's time left and much that needs doing. We knew there was something wrong about the park, Adair. But you haven't told us yet how we can help to put it right. Millie was first to find her voice. She looked along her friends for confirmation as she spoke. Nobody protested. Caps nodded his agreement too. Paddy remained standing in silence. Please tell us where we should start, Tom pleaded. I'm guessing the fire damage at the edge of the park is a logical place. But what can we do? Who'll listen to half a dozen young kids who claim to know the fire was started deliberately? Yeah, first thing they'll say is, if we know that, perhaps it was us that started it, Dave added, to a chorus of agreements. Plus, we already agreed we can't mention Caps or Adair or anyone else, Ed managed with a nod in Paddy's direction. He didn't feel comfortable using the name or the job description leprechaun. Tom felt Adair turning attention in his direction, knew the words suddenly unplanned from his lips were somehow the right ones. Maybe people won't listen to us kids if we go to them with something that sounds like a fairy tale of some sort, with different creatures in it, he said, whirling his arms in an attempt to include everyone. But we have told at least part of the tale to one adult, remember? And I think a lot more people will read what Ken Clark writes in The Echo. That's his job, innit? I mean, writing the news and stuff, so people believe what they read about he's written, yeah? Adair sighed deeply and seemed to ponder for a moment. Do you believe this adult can be trusted? I ask because in my exceptionally long lifetime, I've found children easier to talk to. They'll listen to the ramblings of an ancient tree. But adults, they think they know so much. I think that's a good place to leave it.
That's fabulous, Paul. Fabulous. Brilliant. Yeah, no, it's reputed to be over 1,000 years old, isn't it, the Allison?
Yeah.
And it's looked after now, isn't it? They've got railings around it now.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Sort of the other creatures that flit in and out of the story is, you know, various animals that they can talk to, like a robin who's like a messenger bird, a couple of badgers, rabbits, and different animals that come in and out of the story.
Yeah, we're doing Watership Down as a after school book club at the moment.
Beautiful story.
Yeah, it was one of my favourites when I was about 11 or 12.
Yeah.
We did it was our Thanksgiving Day on Friday. You know, each teacher could pick 4 pupils to be rewarded, and they either got a free book or a big bar of chocolate or something else. And quite a few of them were saying
they feed them for a month.
Yeah. You know, they'd like to do a book club. So I think we've got 12 signed up to do a book club now after school, which will be fun.
Excellent.
And well, you know, they had a choice.
Excellent.
That's your influence, that Paul.
Yes, I haven't found a title. I'm still looking for a title.
Yeah, well, things like that can come, can't they? Now, Brian, have you found some music you can play along to?
Well, I can. I'm only the backing track's only on my iPhone, so
yeah. So as long as you can hear it, I think as long as you can hear it, that's the important thing.
I'll take these off then to make sure I can. Take my earphones off.
So what you gonna cruise?
I've never done this ever. So the song.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a brave thing,
okay.
Right? So what song is it? What are you doing?
Am I on to? Can you hear me, Tony?
Yeah. You're on big screen for everybody. You're on Spotlight. Yeah.
Hang on.
You've got 5 little bars at the bottom, so you're in good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Wow, it's very, very, very faint. Why is that?
On your phone.
I've got it on full power as well.
Full volume on the PC.
That's weird.
We can hear you. You're fine at our end.
I can hear you now. I had it plugged in. So,
that would be right. That would be right. So what are you going to do for us, Uncle Brian?
Well, can you hear this little intro before the start?
Yeah.
You can hear?
Yeah. It's like a keyboardy sound. Yeah. You're on mute, Brian. You've muted. You're back with us.
All right. I'll give it a go.
Then? Come on. So what? Whose song is this? Is this your
Fantastic? It's by Herb Albert. Do you remember Herb Albert?
Oh yes. Yeah. The girl from Nipamina.
Yeah, that's right. And I've always loved it.
Yeah.
When it first came out, I loved it.
Oh yeah.
And so
you've always had taste, mate. You know.
Okay, I'll give it a go. Are we ready?
Yeah. Oh, good, mate.
Yeah.
You've muted at your end again, Brian. You must be hitting a button on the screen at some point. Brian, you've muted again at your end. Brian, you're muted at your end. Brian, you're muted.
How's that?
We can hear you again, but as you turn the music off, you muted your screen, so you've got to be careful. Is the music on your iPad?
Okay.
And you're on your laptop, yeah?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll be careful now.
Okay. You mute again. Brian, you mute again. You're on mute again. You're on mute again, mate. You're on mute. Don't know what you're doing, but the minute you start singing, you're muting. You're mute again now. You're back. You're back,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll hold it then.
Yeah.
I'll hold it.
Okay, mate.
Can you hear it now? Tell me if you can hear.
Yeah, hear it.
I'll leave it at this then.
Yeah.
You see this guy's in love with you. Yes, I'm in love. He looks at you the way I do. When you smile, I can tell we know each other very well. How can I show you? I'm glad I got to know you, 'cause I've heard some tell. They say you think I'm fine. This guy's in love. What can I do to make you mine? Tell me now, is it so? Don't let me be the last to know. My hands are shaking. Don't let my heart keep breaking, 'cause I need your love. I want your love. Say you're in love with this guy. If not, I'll just die. Tell me now, is it so? Don't let me be the last to know. My hands are shaking. Don't let my heart keep breaking, 'cause you see this guy's in love with you. Yes, I'm in love. Who looks at you the way I do? When you smile, I can tell we know each other very well. How can I show you? I'm glad I got to know you, 'cause I need your love. I want your love. Say you're in love with this guy. If not, I'll just die. This guy's in love. This guy's in love. This guy's in love.
Fabulous, mate. Fabulous. Folks, you can unmute if you want to join back in with the saying anything nice about Uncle Bri there.
Okay.
What do you think?
Do you like that, Zoe?
Excellent.
Yeah. It was very good, wasn't he? Once he unmuted himself so we could hear it.
Mystical quality to it.
It was lovely. Really was, Brian.
Did it sound? I mean, I didn't realise it was so close to the screen, and then I realised I moved back.
Yeah, no, you sounded great. It really was.
Just to say, as it was halfway through the song,
yeah,
the lady messaged to say something to me, and she didn't know. She didn't know. I keep saying we're on the same wavelength, but she hadn't realised.
Yeah.
So it's weird that she messaged me then when I was singing that song to her.
So is this a lady that you might actually, associate with and talk to?
No, it's just somebody that you always like people in your life, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, and that's it, And
but it was terrific, mate.
It really was.
If there's nothing there, there's nothing there. But
no, that was hopefully there is something there, Brian. It'd be nice if there was. It's nice to have someone to.
Well, I messaged before and said I'm going to try and sing a song to you.
It's terrific, mate. You did a
great
job.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm sure. Didn't someone had a hit with that this mid-60s, and I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Herb Albert. It was somebody else. I know Herb Albert did it, but someone else had a go.
Yeah, possibly. You're right.
Wasn't it? I want to say Jerry. I want to say Jerry and the Pacemakers, but I don't think it was.
No. I would have remembered that. He wouldn't have suited it anyway to me.
Yeah, no. I mean, it was #1 for Herb Albert in 1968.
Yeah, it was. I loved it then.
But I'm thinking about 64, 65. Someone had a hit.
Maybe.
I don't
know.
Yeah,
I could well be wrong, but I know it. It's a great song. They do a great job on it.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a poem as well. I'll read whenever you want. Okay.
Yeah. So, in just a minute. Yeah.
Whenever you want.
Just a minute. No repetition, deviation, hesitation.
Oh, very clever. Yeah. Yeah. So I think Bert Baccarat actually wrote it.
He did.
In 1962. Yeah,
he
wrote it in 1962.
What do we do without Google or Wikipedia?
Yeah.
We look up in books.
Yeah.
Yes, well said.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where we got our knowledge from. Books.
Books. Yes, you did right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Sisamon one doesn't say who else had a hit with it, but
I'm sure.
It's true. It's true. It's a lovely song, though. I mean,
it's a great song. You did a super job on it.
Genuine, utter class about people like Bert Baccarat. Yeah.
You can just see it in them old cigar bars, with the big leather chairs, and you're sitting there with a
I just love that
tinted windows and the
Oh, okay. So Uncle Gibbo, the one and only BG, the last and only, as they might call him. Yeah, he's going to put his white suit on now, isn't he? Brian Jacques wore a white suit, didn't he? He always wore a white suit. Yeah.
Did he have his own show? Because I know the name.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, every Sunday.
The Wavertree Chronicles. The Wavertree Chronicles.
Yeah, every Sunday.
Did he have the slot that's now? I think Frankie Connor does it.
Yeah, it's about 2:00 on a Sunday.
2 or 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Yeah, we used to listen, not every week, but most weeks. We used to love it. Yeah. It was a big treat then, though, listening to something like that on the radio, wasn't it? I think we're lacking that sort of social radio. A lot of it is chit-chat and a bit of music and sport and news. There isn't that much... Radio 4 do a bit, where it's actually involving you, the listener, as part of the experience. So Uncle Brian's gone off to put his white suit on. He has gone off to put his white suit on, I think.
I'm just.
He's not wearing his dapper hat today, is he?
No.
You haven't got your smooth hat on, have you?
Not today, no.
No. So is this one of your love lost poems?
I went to fabulous new venue called Smoky Mo's.
We know you're their PR guy on
do you know
Facebook
what?
for sure.
Oh, just brilliant. And I just take little videos and stuff, you know, and I give it to, you know, the people whose it is, and it just helps a little bit. But you're talking about my hat. As soon as I got my hat on, no matter where I go with my little hat on, the amount of ladies that go like that and point to me hat, and I go, no. And they go, oh, and I go, no. And they go, oh, please. And I go, oh, go on then. Well, there was a lady with a group of ladies, like a hen party. And they were all dancing in the seats. But one of the girls was really vibrant, and she got up and she was dancing to them all and contorting everywhere. And she kept on looking at me, and I was sitting there quietly on my own. And all the girls were photographing her, videoing her. And because she kept on looking at me, and I was hiding my head, I was putting my hand up like out the way. And that made it worse because they started laughing and they started videoing me. And this girl started dancing towards me, right? And then she come over, pretended to sit on my knee, and then she moved away and they were all laughing. And then she got a chair, and then she sat on the chair with her legs, you know, like in that film, and she was gyrating. She was gyrating and all that. It was all in fun. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't rude or nothing. It was just pure fun. And then she picks the chair up and brings the chair over to me. Well, all the mates were in bulk laughing, you know. And then she changed her mind, and then I went away. And then she was saying, you know, sorry and all that. And I said, sorry. So she sat down. And when she sat down, I took my hat off and I just threw it along the seat. But it's like a long bench seat. And it just hit it in the side. And I just pointed to the hat, and she saw it and she went, oh, thank you. And she stood up and started dancing again with my hat on. Well, the places you would put my hat, I'm not going to tell you. But the mates were videoing it all, and it was so funny, you know. And then she came over and threw the hat back to me, and I just put it back on my head.
Yeah, why?
So it's just nice. It's just nice.
So are we having a love lost poem or a love found poem?
Shut up. I'm not having it. Right.
I'd love to know who they're written for.
Nobody. I'll tell nobody. And I've even said to the young lady, they keep asking me who it's for, and I won't tell them. I don't say nothing like that. It's not to do with anyone.
Well, fair enough.
But this is, you know, a poem. You may not think you are beautiful, but you are. You have the most beautiful face. It's full of character. And your eyes might be slightly scarred, but they just add to their beauty that they are. Your nose might not be the perfect nose, but to me, it is the most perfect, beautiful nose that I ever had the pleasure to see. And your fine, delicate lips that you try to make bigger with your fingers, you don't need to, because they're amazing, sweet lips. You sit so gracefully like a goddess with your backs and your shoulders straight so proudly. And I just seem to think of you all the time. And the funny thing is, you're not even mine. I open my cupboard and you're there. And I come from the bedroom and you're there on the stairs. I reach in my wardrobe to take out my clothes and there you are. Your blue eyes and your long blonde hair and your smile and your nose. If I climb out of bed when it's time to get up and I pour out my tea, what's that noise? And you're there in my cup. I come out of my house to get into my car and I open the door and there you are in my car. When I go to my work, all my friends say, who's she? And when I look to my side, you were standing next to me. I turn on my laptop and you are there on my desk. I'm exhausted now and I just need a rest. Just can't seem to get you from out of my head. As I lay on my pillow to rest for a while, you're there on my doorway with your beautiful smile. The scent of you wafts through my room and I plunge deeper and deeper into my gloom because I know that you're not really there. And yet I see you stroking your long blonde hair. I feel your lips upon my cheek and your hot breath. It just leaves me weak. Oh, what am I supposed to do? Am I just so in love with you that I imagine that you were there and all the things that I hold dear? My heavy eyes are closed, your scent is sweet. My blankets rise and I feel your feet and your body, so divine, weighs down my bed and it lays next to mine. I feel your energy so sublime, as with both our bodies do entwine, and my eyes pop open in disbelief, as both we rise between the sheets. As I realize that I'm asleep and you are making love to me, your fingers close my eyes again, and once again within the realms of passion, far beyond my dreams. Deep in your body I do dive, and now I just feel so alive. You brought up all the love in me that's been there since eternity. It's swirling all around my room and dissipating all the gloom that always has surrounded me since I was maybe only 3. All the loves I've ever known, it's only you that's ever thrown me off my axis, spinning round and forming into a mound of pure, unadulterated love that has been sent from heaven above. For only me to give to you and to tell you that I love you true. I hear your voice inside my head. As you gently climb out from my bed, you turn around and you glance at me, and once more your blue eyes I see. You're smiling, looking back at me. You elegantly leave the room and your body is silhouetted nude against the open bedroom door. Your panties you held in your hands like a feather cascade down and gently land there upon the floor. You leave and close the bedroom door and leaving me wanting more. Did you leave your panties as a sign to say that one day you will be mine?
Wow, Brian, that's an epic.
That's
That's like your whole life in of love in one poem. I mean, that's wow. That's some story there.
Yeah.
I hope whoever you wrote it for knows you like them.
Well, it's life in it, Tony.
Oh, mate.
It's life.
There's some lovely imagery in
we
that.
are what we are, Tony. We are feelings. Yeah. That's all we are, isn't it? We're energy, we're feelings, we're water.
No, very true. Very true.
All those things. So
very true.
There's the reason for everything.
Yeah. No, there's some good imagery in that, Brian. Lovely stuff.
Thank you.
And you deliver it beautifully. Really, really, really did.
Quite nervous when I'm doing stuff like that, you say.
Well, it's emotions, isn't it? It is written about someone or how you feel about someone. I love the illusion of whether they're real or not. There, that really works. Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. It does. It's how it comes out.
Yeah.
I think everybody can take a slice of that poem.
Yeah, definitely.
To whatever level they would like to.
Yeah.
Really.
Anyway, I'm going to play another song now because when I was talking to Paul earlier, he sort of casually mentioned that his mum, who's called Val Jones.
Smith.
What are you going to say, Dooligan then?
Yeah, no, sorry. It's basically, she's just recorded an album. She's
recorded a couple of albums.
Yeah.
She's just done her second one, which I've not heard yet.
No.
The first one, I have a copy of somewhere.
Yeah, and you know, when he mentioned her name was Val or could be Valerie, it made me think of a song I heard a couple of weeks ago. I went to an album launch from a chap who, well, he's a friend online. I've met him a few times. Very, very talented singer-songwriter called Michael Weston King. He's in a duo called My Darling Clementine with his wife, and they're brilliant live. They're friends with Elvis Costello. Yeah, they're friends with Elvis Costello and Steve Naive, people like that.
Oh, my word.
Yeah. But
a name drop and a half, my
goodness. Yeah. But I used to live on Radnor Drive in Southport, which Zoe will know, and they used to live on Marshside Road. And he said we must have walked past each other so many times. I said, well, that's the thing, isn't it? You always look at people when you go for walks, but if you don't know them, they're just a character. They're just someone that you walk past, aren't they? But this song he wrote is called Valerie's Coming Home. And I thought, I'm going to play this for Paul and his mum.
That's very kind of you.
I think you like it. I think you will like it.
They packed away her cards and letters, folded up her favorite sweaters, handed you her wedding band that not been off in 50 years, took down all the photographs, snapshot moments from the past, boxed up all her memories and faded souvenirs. Nobody wants to see her leaving. Nobody wants to find her not at home. Nobody wants to say you should have seen her yesterday. Everybody wants to see her going home. We emptied out the odds and sod straw. Who'd have thought that there'd be no more need to clean the house from top to toe and back again? All your dresses neatly hung up, your old tea towels slowly wrung out. Take the grandkids' drawings down from off the kitchen wall. How many times have I opened up your window? Because the room you lived in was too warm. How many times did you shout, oh, close it, Frank, you'll let the heat out. Today there really is a chill blowing through the hallway of your home. Oh, you and I together, we sheltered from the weather till the storm blew by. I heard you cry, Valerie. Come back to me, Valerie. Oh, come back. That holiday in '68, the family standing by the gate of the cottage you could just afford for 2 weeks every June. Two have gone now from that frame, for the other three life's not the same. But every generation will still hold a part of you. There's a pile of mail stacked behind the front door, and a light that blinks, there are messages on the phone. From older sisters you didn't outlast, well-wishers from the past who called to say they'd come around.
just as soon as you got home.
Great, isn't he?
I've not heard that one before.
He's really good.
Extremely.
It's his first album for 12 years solo.
Extremely evocative. Very.
He's got a great voice. I mean, he invited me to his album launch. I'm a friend of friends of his, and he knew I'd been going to quite a lot.
He sounds quite similar to John Jenkins.
Yeah, he's got a bit richer baritone than John. John's tiny bit lighter in tone.
It's a similar sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredibly evocative. I mean, there's almost too many words.
Yeah.
For the song.
Yeah.
Vocally, it's beautifully done. My word.
Yeah.
He packed a lot into that.
The album is sensational. He did the whole album from start to finish with a mate playing, twiddly bits. He played acoustic guitar and sang, and this other chap did all the twiddly bits. And it was fabulous. There was only 40 of us there. It was a private launch, and I took some photos for him, and it was a treat to be there. It really was. It really was.
He's well worth it. My goodness
so,
me.
Uncle Brian, we've got a couple of minutes.
Go on.
Have you got another poem?
I don't know. I haven't.
I don't know. You usually have hundreds.
I know.
Hundreds.
I've got one I've just written.
Go on.
Heather, go on. Yay.
Go on, Heather.
Sorry, my headphones fell out just as I said I've got one I've just written.
Oh.
Did you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, yeah.
Right, okay. It's about revision.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, I hope you're going to post this on. I hope you're going to post this on Facebook. God, you'll get a lot of likes.
Bit of a contentious one at the moment. Oh dear, as you probably heard earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, so just literally throwing this together. So revision for exams. What I was thinking was, when I did my revision for my O levels, how different it was in those days, and how there's so many more distractions now. But then, are there so many more distractions? So. Right, anyway, here goes. It probably doesn't follow all the rules of poetry because...
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry.
The English literature was last week, it's geography tonight.
Oh, God.
Okay, so, oh, the joys of revising for GCSEs with my teens, trying to get them to turn away for 5 minutes from phones, tablets and screens. But as it all changed from my O-level days, we still create plans and a schedule. But they still completely ignore it like we did, and they still try to act the fool. No need for reams of classroom notes. It's all flashcards, revision books and apps. In my day, we just had exercise books, and woe betide you if there was gaps. Remember the Scrabble at lunch in the library to find the one reference book. Now there's Wikipedia, or just Google it, and it's a fraction of the time that we took. I suppose there's a lot more distractions with Snapchat, TikTok and YouTube. But then again, how many hours did I spend doing the Rubik's Cube? The thing that really makes me feel old, though, are all the things that are now just foundation, was all cutting-edge technology like virus DNA and computer applications. There's no more slide rules for mathematics or the dreaded logarithm books. It's all smartwatches, smartphones and laptops. And interactive revision books. So
that's terrific.
Right. It has changed a lot, hasn't it? That's with technology rather than. I mean, I remember people trying to write stuff on the inside of their arm and wear long sleeves.
Well, they all have to leave their watches. Because they've all got smart watches now.
Yeah,
and,
I
know. There's so many ways that you can do that. But I remember I had one day off maths lessons. I got flu or something. And my dad, who had been at a grammar school in the 50s, said, "What were you doing?" And I said, "Oh, we were doing logarithms." And he proceeded to teach me for about 3 weeks logarithms. Now, I was just at the age where calculators were coming in, and we didn't really need logarithms as much as they had. So, no, we have to do logarithms on a slide rule, using the logarithm. But I'm saying, "Dad, but we can use calculators now." No. These calculators, it's a fad.
Yes.
And the other thing that they always used to say was, "You won't always have a calculator with you, will you?" But of course, We all do now. We've all got smartphones with calculators
Yeah.
on.
Heather, would it be right to say that you're actually that they almost ban you from using your Wikipedia and your Google and this and that? You can't use it as a reference point. You can't use it.
Oh, you can't. No, not at sort of degree level and above, but at GCSE, it's just like it used to be revised. You're going into an exam. There's no sort of referencing. And my daughter, who's just finishing her 3rd year of university, she's got all the Harvard referencing, which is all that nightmare of doing that thing where you're not allowed to use Wikipedia.
You've got to log. You've got to log everything, and you've got to write it down and who wrote it and what paragraph and chapter and this and that. I remember doing that in my degree.
Oh, Paul, I actually did something. You know, when I did my degree, and I got
hello, mate. I didn't know you were there.
Oh, yeah. I got asked. Good evening, Tony. Good evening, Zoe.
Evening, Lord Deputy Mayor. Deputy Lord Mayor.
Andrew, Heather. I'm sorry about being late. I had to do something, and also I've got to go out in about half an hour.
He's Deputy Mayor. He can't help it. He's Deputy Mayor now. Yeah. He gets to wear a proper gold chain on Thursday, don't you?
Yeah. You know, I want to point out, I'd like to look like a very respectable man. I end up looking like a bleeding rapper.
I
Where
didn't
are you
have that
Deputy
down
Mayor
as your type of music, Andy.
Yeah.
Where are you Deputy Mayor for?
I'm Deputy Mayor for Halewood in Knowsley. In fact, I've just come back from something. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I was about to mention about calculators always presented a problem for us at school because they were still the first ones I ever saw were Rockwell, and they were very expensive. And the second ones I saw were Casio. And I'm wearing a Casio watch, for God's sake. But you know, the one thing about calculators is that you were actually only allowed to use them in classwork, but never in exams.
Yeah.
Yes.
You had to be sure your calculus. Of course, some of us were very smart and said, "Can we know what the questions are beforehand?" Which went down like a lead balloon. I've just been doing something. I'll explain. I've been doing a mail shot out to all the houses in my neighbourhood. And I met someone who should remain nameless, who had a passive-aggressive attitude. Don't put any junk mail through my letterbox, all right? I said, sorry, can I discuss this with you? Look, I told you, don't put any junk mail through my letterbox. I said, my name's Andrew, what's yours? I'm not telling you that. Well, it's all right. You know, he doesn't know one thing, which actually may be an abuse of power. I have the voters register.
Ah.
Aha.
I don't want to embarrass the bastard, but, you know, his name's Neil Davis. And he's one of these people. I get the impression he's been a bit of a tough nut in the past. And I said, look, do you have a problem with this? Well, do you want to take me on, do you? And no, I'm not interested. You're the one who's passive-aggressive. I'm not. I said, I'm telling you about street poly. Well, I couldn't be bothered. And then after several sort of words in which, one of which I objected to was describe the colour of my hair. And I thought, right, I'll make you regret this. You know, and it's just, you find out with some people, they're like hair trigger prepared. I can imagine he's probably got a criminal record.
He's the sort of fella that you would have happened last night to him, you know, as opposed to what happened to those who did happen.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, you know what they say about policemen all over the world? The Spanish policemen carry a submachine gun. Policemen in Israel carry something similar. And in Britain, they basically carry a taser. So you'd have to get right up close to the person before you can actually hit them. And to be honest, when people criticise the fact that you've got to defend yourself, I find myself I find I'm good with words. I can normally turn someone round, but you can't talk to the inarticulate.
No, you're right.
If you try and reason with an unreasonable person, it's a frustrating and ultimately destroying experience.
It's interesting. You talk about the taser thing. There's a friend of mine years ago got done because he carries the white stick like I carry. And you've all seen me, or those of you who have seen me, use the white stick. And he got done. He was actually tasered because people thought he was carrying an offensive weapon.
Gosh.
You see, the problem is all this mention about police are about these things which are apparently, oh, we apprehended me and I didn't do it. Well, if you're acting like a complete and utter knob, of course you would be apprehended.
Yes.
I mean, I was carrying, this is true, this. I was carrying a guitar called a Hofner Shorty. A Hofner Shorty is about, let's see, it's about 27 inches long. Beware, missus. And you carry it round in a bag. Now, Hofner had thought, how do we get a bag to fit our Hofner Shorty? Because most guitar bags fit bigger guitars, you see. So what they did was, they're based in Germany, and they got a firm that made rifle cases and made a case that you could carry a Hofner Shorty bass guitar in. So I'm walking home from a rehearsal. Next thing, excuse me, sir, what have you got in that bag? I said, a guitar, a likely story. Could you please produce a bag? I said, I'll tell you what, you take it and you zip it open. Oh, it is a guitar. Can you play this? Yes, I can. Have you got a receipt? Yes, £139 from Curly Music. Why? And they were like, well, why is it that, you know, it's in a bag like this? And I told them, I said, that's the story, it's true.
It's a bit like what Brian was saying earlier on.
Brian had similar. He spent the night in Clink.
In a police custody, but
he was in
station.
Clink.
What happened, Brian?
Oh, it was 40 years ago when he was he was a bad lad.
I wasn't. Well, you know the story. You know the story.
Oh my God!
He's got photographic evidence to prove it as well. He was showing us
to this day.
Yeah, of him in a cell. Yeah, with a ball and chain around his
ball
and chain. They had him in a ball and chain, Andy.
I had the sergeant in a ball and chain.
Yeah,
you had his sergeant chain. Sorry if I'm saying anything that's offensive, but after just getting my muzzle rattled by some idiots, you know, I do feel a bit aggressive. That's why it's taken me a bit longer to come on.
You do not worry, Andy. Tough day, mate.
Do not worry.
Tough day.
Do not worry. I'm going to play another song because my friend Jenny Colquitt's just released this as her new single. I sort of promised I'd play it, and I'm going to play it.
What do you mean you sort of promised?
No, well, I should do. No, I should have played it earlier. I'm sorry. She was live. She was live streaming on her own Facebook earlier, and I said, "I'll give it a play, Jenny. I'll give it a play." Jenny Colquitt is an absolutely stunning singer-songwriter. She's a young girl, probably mid-20s, probably 25 or so, from Widnes, which isn't far from Andy, actually. She could even be in his parish. I mean, I would imagine Widnes is your next door neighbour, Widnes, isn't it?
Oh, Widnes. You know, I mean, it's a nice place, but it's a bit sprawling. It's a bit like, you know, all towns expand around it.
Yeah. But she released her debut album last October. She's touring at the moment. She's playing quite a lot of decent gigs and festivals at the moment, and I'm hoping in the autumn that we're going to be doing something with her. Can't talk about it just yet, but we've got plans for later on in the year. This is her latest single. It's called God the Father, and I think you're going to like it.
I've been told, I've been saved from my own hold. This is freedom, and I know it's getting harder. It takes the place of everything that I know, and I know you got the Father, and you hold me so close. you hold me so close, but I can't erase the paintings from the walls in my home.
She's good, isn't she?
Very power ballad-ish, isn't it? It's
Yeah, she does some cracking stuff. She really does. The stuff she wrote about her daughter, with her first EP, when she was probably about 22, about 4 years ago. She wrote 4 songs about being a young mum, and she's just stunning. I mean, she plays brilliant piano, as you can hear. She plays guitar as well. I really think and hope she deserves much more than the immediate little bit of fame that she's getting so far. I mean, she works very hard. You know, she's got a great voice. She's traveling the country. She was down in Brighton recently. She was playing with a great Scottish singer called Sandy McClelland a few weeks ago. He's very good. They did a Cambridge Folk Festival. They were at the Cambridge Folk Festival. And she's playing quite a big Midlands, one of the big festivals in the Midlands.
Cropredy or somewhere like that.
Could be right. It could be Cropredy.
She's playing
one of the. I think it's Shrewsbury actually. She's playing that in a few weeks' time. I'm hoping as and when we do our next Words of Music eventing at some point. That,
we're just trying to find.
You know, we'll try and make sure we fit the date around one, so that Jenny can come over and do a set. Heather's just saying Jason's returned from travels. We didn't know he'd been travelling. Where's he been? What's he been up to?
What can you tell us?
She's on mute at the minute. She might have to put it up in the message. What's he been up to?
There you go. Your camera's on now.
Hello.
Sorry, I missed you. Yeah.
Don't worry. It's been a bit. It's been a little bit thrown together tonight. We've done a little bit featuring Brian up there. He's read extracts from a book he's writing and sang a nice bit back of our live for us about an hour ago.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed that.
Well, you can watch it again on YouTube later, can't you?
Well,
he had 3 goes. He had 3 goes because he kept muting himself when he started singing.
I know. It's the danger of using the PC on Zoom.
We had some fun up in County Durham.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So where have you been, Jason? Have you been out and about?
Yeah. A little village called Nebworth.
Really?
Oh yes.
Okay.
I know Nebworth. Yes.
Yeah.
Up in Hertfordshire.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I went down there, and my cousin has come over from Canada, and her dad has arranged for us to meet our 4th cousin, who is Lord Lytton Cobbold, who owns Nebworth.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We went around there, and I met my 4th cousin. Yeah.
Just drop that one in, why don't you? My goodness me.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So are they planning a bit of a party this year? Are they having a party?
Liam Gallagher is playing on the 3rd.
Yeah.
Oh, is he?
We went down
The
there.
Rolling Stones.
It's a huge stage with the slogan "Come on now."
Yeah.
Stage because that's his latest album.
It's meant to be quite good, actually. I've heard good reports of 3 of the songs on it. It's
okay.
Yeah.
Sort of stage, shouldn't I? Yeah.
I've not heard it yet, but I read a review earlier today, and it said 2 instant classics, and there's one he co-wrote with someone, or could even be a cover. And they said, really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, we'll have to have a listen to that.
He's sort of mellowed, hasn't he, in the last sort of...
What'd you say?
He's mellowed.
Mellowed a little bit,
I
hasn't
think
he?
so. Yeah, he's getting a bit old for it, isn't he? But it's the biggest venue in Britain, and they're expecting 120,000 people there.
That's mad, isn't it? I don't think I could take that. I mean, I'm off to see Duran Duran in Lytham with my son. My son and I are going to see Duran Duran. There'll probably be about 700.
That's proper music. But Lord Lytton Cobbold, he took us onto the roof of Nebworth, and he said, "This is where I'm going to sit to listen to Liam Gallagher."
That's the perks of owning the place.
The gargoyles looking out at the stage.
Oh, fabulous! Yeah.
I wouldn't go to something like that. No.
It's just that, like, you're just trapped inside a huge bubble of humanity, and you might need the toilets. It's just like, it just isn't worth thinking about.
I can't bear things like that. I hate
No,
it.
I mean, I have been to some big gigs, and some are very good, and others leave a lot to be desired.
Can I just say that Siobhan went to My Chemical Romance in Warrington on Friday?
Yeah.
And they wanted 16 quid for a fucking hot dog.
A pardon,
really?
hot dog?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Mine.
16 quid for a single hot dog.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
That's somewhere about.
Has it been licked by the entire band or something?
16 pounds is crazy, isn't it?
It's like that.
All the other prices were similar.
You've got no choice, have you? If you're hungry, that's all.
That's the problem, isn't it? You're not allowed to take anything in, are you? With these things, captive audience, aren't you? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, guys, we're gonna have to finish fairly soon because I don't know if Heather and Jason know, but I'm in a lot of pain at the moment. I fell over a few weeks ago at work and I've ruptured my knee. I've torn all the tendon or ligaments on the inside of it, and I'm basically almost unable to walk at the moment.
Yeah.
Wow. How long is that going to take to get better?
Well, I had an X-ray not Friday gone, the Friday before. I was expecting them to ring me up and say, right, we need to talk to you because we need to do an operation on Monday or Tuesday. But I put up with it for the last week of school. But I noticed Saturday when I got up Saturday and had to go out and do a little bit of work for someone. I can hardly go up and down stairs now.
Have you got crutches?
I have actually, yeah.
Ooh,
It's
doing your exercises.
Not properly, yes, no. But at first I thought it would get better on its own, foolish optimism.
No.
And then I thought, well, just rest up and at least manage it. But yesterday I did 3 hours helping the Brownies move stuff from one church hall to another, basically, and I had to stop several times and say to people, look,
it will get better on its own, Tony, but you have to do the stretching exercises, otherwise the tendon grows back all knobbly.
Knotted, yeah. That's
knotted,
you exactly. I get that. I got that. There's someone else told me about that. Yeah.
It's massaging and stretching it.
Yeah. Well, I'll take that up a bit more seriously because yesterday it was I only had to go up like 1 or 2 steps, but it was just in advance it's going to hurt.
I know.
And
40.
yeah, not much fun. Not much fun. And now I was going to be in pre-season training for Liverpool on the left wing and all.
They could have done with you last night, mate. I tell you.
No, they just didn't get. They
ran out of gas.
Right. They ran out of gas. And give Real Madrid their due. They managed the game brilliantly. They created a couple of chances and took them. Liverpool played well, but they didn't look like they were going to do anything.
No,
and the goalie played very well. Courtois, he was outstandingly good. The chances Liverpool did have, he was there to, control it.
Are you all Liverpool supporters or Everton supporters?
I'm technically a Liverpool supporter, but I'm more a Southport supporter. Proper local team.
Well, when I was at school, as you know, I'm from near Manchester and Oldham, and I was my friend had a Manchester United football bag, and I had a Liverpool one.
They're going to say Oldham Athletic.
Yeah. Well, Macca and Brian are Evertonians. Paul's a Newcastle fan, aren't you, Paul?
Yes. Well, I was born, and I'll say this properly, a goalie's punt from the Leazes end of St James's Park. So I have no reason not to be.
Yeah. And Zoe will be a Southport fan like me.
No, she's banned me from going to see them.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Haven't you?
Who do you support, Zoe, if anyone?
Where are you?
I don't support anyone.
You don't support anyone. That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
She's banned me. She said,
Jason, there won't be anyone for you to support where you live. Have you got
Norwich?
Jason's a bit useless with football anyway, but he's from Wimbledon, and the whole Milton Keynes.
Yes.
That was a sorry tale. That was a sorry
His
tale.
friends involved
It's
with
not
trying to get.
sorry at all. No, it's a fairy tale because they rose from the ashes twice.
True. That's a fair point.
Yeah,
Have you seen a real womble? Have you seen?
We used to go out womble hunting on the common when we were kids.
His
but
mum had
it was really just an excuse to take a few bottles of cider and light a bonfire.
Yeah.
Zoe's a Wombles fan, aren't you?
Yeah. The Wombles are fabulous.
Zoe's a big
Fabulous.
Wombles fan.
Underground, Womble
You
free.
know, I was thinking we ought to do one of these
Wimbledon,
things on children's TV. Children's TV things.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm writing that down. I love it. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. Oh no, we'll all have to pick our favourite.
We're all that generation, aren't we?
The banana splits has to be one, doesn't it?
Listen, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, and I should have done this ages ago because I'm dim. I tend to message you all individually and say, you know, do you want to pop on Sunday? I'll create. You can create like a little Facebook user group, can't you? That several people can be a member of. So I'll create one of them in a minute, and if you all pop in your children's TV theme tunes that you like, then I can. I've got a load already in my iTunes. Actually, I did a children's storytelling thing about 3 years ago, and I bought a 4 CD set of theme tunes, like, you know, from Doctor Who and Stingray through to Will-o'-the-Wisp and whatever.
Oh
no, I think we should all pick 5, maybe 5. Should we limit it to 5? 5 each.
What made me think of it was my sister put the double deckers up. Do you remember the double deckers?
I do.
Yes.
I do. Yeah, that was quite an anarchic, that, you know. Yeah.
The double deckers. Well.
Right, you can all pick 5. You can all pick 5 and have 1 in spare. Yeah. Right. So I'll create a little Facebook group so people can put their name in and what themes they want, and you can all have a minute or two talking about why you like the show, and we'll play all, because they're quite short, aren't they, theme tunes? You know, I think Paul Macker will be picking the Mr. Ons. I can see him being a Mr. On. No.
Le Ménage Enchanté.
You're a Muffin the Mule and
Le Ménage Enchanté.
Oh
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the original to the Magic Roundabouts.
Yeah.
It was originally a French series.
It was, I know, and then Eric Roberts nicked it, didn't he? He rewrote it for British TV. Thingy's dad, it's the one that was married to Kenneth Branagh. So who was the girl that was married to Kenneth Branagh?
Yeah.
Emma Thompson. It was her dad, Eric Thompson.
Yes,
He reworked it, yeah. So you want the original Magic Roundabout, Paul? Yeah.
Yes, and I'll have Tintin as well.
Okay, right. Yes. Well, I'll create the little Facebook.
Robinson Crusoe. Do you remember that from the 6-week holidays?
Yes.
Oh no, this could be fun. This will be fun. I mean, Brian, did you watch children's TV? What was popular back in your day?
Handy Pandy.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here we go,
the wooden tops. The wooden tops.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, the other way.
I want to know at the end of that program, they always had a wicker basket, and the 2 of them got in that basket, and they closed. What were you getting up to?
Well,
they did it all the time.
I think the little weed knew something about that as well.
Well, yeah, you've got something there, Paul.
What about Bagpuss?
Much room in there, was there?
Who remembers Bagpuss?
Yes, I actually know the person who wrote it.
Really? Yeah.
A lady called Sandra Kerr. She's based up in the northeast of England now.
Yeah, I love Bagpuss. We will fix it. We will mend
Poor Jason had to go to school every day, even on Saturdays, and so he doesn't know any children's TV programs very much, do you?
Yeah, I know a few.
The first time we saw Thunderbirds was on a ferry coming back from France.
Well, he can still. He's still going to have to think of some and pick some, because no, that'd be great if everyone picks 5, and then you can have a surprise one, and you know if time allows. Yeah. Right. Listen, guys, I am going to knock off, because I'll be honest, I do need to get back to the doctor.
You were going to say naff off, though, weren't you?
No, I didn't.
Yes,
you were going to say naff off now.
No, I need to be up early and get back to the doctors about.
Who's Paley? Who's Paley?
The pearly
Yes, I
gates,
know.
yeah.
Don't put your leg up.
Anyway, so I'm just going to
Okay.
stop us